So, what exactly are we supposed to do here? I know we're trying to find a way to the event, but still. I don't see any teleporting subway around here, so I guess it's a portal. Speaking of which, Star, have you done, like, the overview of what this event is yet? Well, I mean, there were games, one backed out, and, yeah. Nothing really too important of significance to talk about.
Can we get to the event? This is kinda scary.
Based on the time that we got here, the portal should show up in around... There we go!
Well, time for another round. Let's get going. Welcome to the Halloween Spotlight. We're gonna have a lot of fun, aren't we? Before the event actually starts, we're placed in this cabin. There's nothing really in this cabin besides like radio entries and a timer, so I'll just skip to the good part. We start out with an actual first-person cutscene. Essentially, we're chased out of the map by a scary evil face monster and land in the forest. This event also supposedly has a new creative director, so we'll see how that turns out. For starters, this is formatted essentially exactly like the Winter Spotlight. There are 31 games and each of them has an easy and a hard quest. What wasn't in the Winter Spotlight is unlocking areas by completing easy quests. But we'll get to that later. For now, let's start the Halloween Spotlight. Wow, off to a great start, are we? So in Build-A-Zoo, it's my singing brain rot. Collect 45 candy from the daily Halloween quests for the badge. The easiest one to do by far is to gift 3 eggs to other people, cause you can just gift commons.
Listen, Star, I've been kinda screwing you over as of recent, so I wanted to make it up to you. From now on, every purchase I recommend to you will be worth your while. After all, it'll save you some time.
Alright then, let's see if you actually mean it.
First of all, you're gonna want to buy that egg with Robux. Halloween mutations are rare.
Alright, that nets me like 12 candy. Oh, I have to wait, don't I?
Well, not really, because you can also pay to refresh your quests.
Okay, that's, decent, I guess. Okay, the most reasonable one from that list is to sell 5 pets, so, I guess I'll just hatch 5 pets and sell them? Still not enough, though. Guess I'm gonna have to refresh again, huh? Wait a minute, it costs double the amount of Robux the second time? Well, anything not to wait. While I am only giving this a 2 for not being super difficult or time-consuming, that was only because I spent Robux. And you don't have enough candy from the base daily quests for the badge, so you're going to have to wait a long time if you don't want to spend Robux. So yeah, I'm giving it a 2. Hopefully the next one is at least kinda better. Epic Minigames was Epic Minigames. This one is actually a quest line. The first one has you go ahead and find one spooky recipe in a minigame where you can move. Then you gotta find 3 ingredients in 3 different types of minigames. Find the order of the 3, which is kinda easy. And that nets you the rune. As for the key quests, you first need to find something in a minigame, find 3 eggs around the lobby, find 5 ghosts in the game, find 3 candy buckets across the minigames. There's a new boss fight they made, but it's kinda confusing and hard to defeat if most of your server doesn't know what's going on. You need to hide behind these rocks or else the giant laser blast will kill you, except sometimes Venorat can just climb over the rocks. It was down to the wire when I beat him. And yeah, do all that and you get the key. The boss was decent at best, but most of it just felt like going into the minigames and doing one thing. I don't know, it just kind of felt more play the game than anything. Next up on the list is Funky Friday, where you need to, get this, play 11 songs they didn't make, and reach an accuracy requirement that can be obtained by just spamming. The spamming just goes on and on and on. I found a way to enable double speed for every song, and it still took me 30 minutes. Imagine how boring this would be if I played at normal speed. They did nothing original for this game and just took pre-existing songs from Friday Night Funkin' mods and made you play them. Being in the event for the sake of being in the event isn't a good idea. Like, yeah, you charted the song in Roblox, how cool. I'm starting to think there just wasn't any quality control this time around. Okay, Strongman Ultra, this is kinda nepotism considering how the people who made this game made the hub, but I'm willing to give it a chance, you know? So after around 30 seconds or so, or a minute, a candy spawns and you have to drag it to the other side of the map in order to get some candy. You can also trick-or-treat other players. If they get tricked, they get frozen for a few seconds, but if they get treat, then you both get candy. And this is determined by pressing a button? Wait, there's a 5-minute cooldown on treating?
Oh, so you found the trick-or-treating mechanic! You see, if you want to skip the timer, you're going to have to pay 9 Robux per treat.
Are you kidding me? So someone can just walk up to you and force you to be frozen for a few seconds or pay Robux?
Well, you do have quite a bit right now, and it does help you complete the quest faster. So I would recommend going through with it.
And how much candy do I need for the rune again?
150! 3 candy per trick-or-treat, and 10 candy per one you drag across the map.
Okay, so I got the rune. What do I do now? Alright, I gotta make a pumpkin bridge. Alright. You gotta build up a separate amount of strength here, and I need 175 pumpkins. When I can't even carry the pumpkin that gives me 5. And there are no Robux options for it.
Well, actually, no! If you equip enough items, you can make them weightless for 50 Robux a pop. I'm just saying this is an efficient way in order to cheese the quest.
50 Robux per time? This has to be one of the greediest quests I've played, like, oh my god. There is no excuse for this one. You either spend hours playing or spend Robux. You know what? Screw it, I'm giving this a 0. I can't find any redeeming qualities about this quest, like, they made a Halloween cave? Really? Especially when the gameplay is just going back and forth over again. This entire thing just made my blood boil, is what I would say if I even had blood to begin with. Ah yes, Keys, my favorite AYSM game, or whatever. Look, I'm not gonna bother with this one, it's just playing the game normally. Escape the killer, open doors, escape the map. It's just not even a Halloween event. The only thing relating to Halloween is picking up pumpkins. The gameplay isn't really that good either. All you gotta do is just walk around, pick up keys, spend Robux to open doors faster, and then pray to the RNG gods that the killer does not spawn directly on top of you. It was overall just frustrating to try and revive people in public servers, and private servers didn't really work too well either. There weren't really any significant gameplay changes to go into detail though. Doors, though, actually had a pretty solid Halloween mode, if not a bit challenging. This is essentially an alternate version of the Outdoors map where you can earn candy. Although that's not really recommended because it has a variety of effects, a lot of them being either hurting you, killing you, or spawning enemies. Now, because this is the outdoors, if you step on the grass while the groundskeeper is active, you essentially die. First, you gotta knock on 30 doors, and then you gotta reach room 50. One of the biggest threats in your run is Eyes, an enemy from the base game, which if you look at it, you constantly take damage, and it can teleport this time. So if you're not careful where you're looking, you're essentially toast. Your only healing is from bandages and candy, and there are normal segments scattered about too, including those from nearly the end of floor 1 of the base game. Despite that though, this whole thing was pretty fun to learn. It is kinda annoying if you have public server players, because if people go too fast you take damage. But if you're doing this with friends in a private server, then it's a pretty solid game mode. Now this time around, instead of just getting the items when you have enough currency, you have to actually do quests in the hub to get the items. Yeah, I know, Minigames in the hub, they haven't done that since the Hunt Mega Edition. Now there are 5 areas in this event, which I'm going to be covering every so often. They're also locked behind 2-day time gates, so you have to actually wait to get all the items. Each area has 1 normal item, 1 secret item, and 1 key item. For the first area, I did the secret item first. I went ahead and stayed by these lanterns for a bit because I thought that you had to stand by them to regain like health or something or you die. Not really sure why I thought that. But anyway, after a bit of time after going on an alternate path and watching the item disappear and reappear somewhere else, I went ahead and got this thing. Now, as for the actual item, you had to go ahead and solve a puzzle. Around the section of the map, there are like 4 symbols you have to find, and you have to input them in a specific order clockwise. No time limit or anything, you just gotta find it. The key quest was essentially the same thing but with 6 symbols this time. I was a bit confused at where to go for a few minutes, but after a bit of searching I managed to find the rest of the symbols. Anyways, we're around 20% done with the event, so let's get going on the rest of them. I'm just hoping that I don't gotta wait too much, because when it comes to liking waiting, I'm... Okay, so good news, this was made by RB Battles. Bad news, this is a simulator. After a cutscene, we go ahead and have to train Halloween Strength. Now, I've played this game before, so I think I have potions that'll be able to do the job. Then you have to beat 3 bosses, which would be fine if every single boss in this game wasn't just the exact same but with more lanes. All you gotta do is hit the boss when there are not any obstacles. Do 3 of those and you have to grind 100,000 currency to unlock the door. I already have pretty good pets, albeit scaled down for the event, so this didn't take me too long. After that you get the rune, but for the key, you gotta do the exact same thing over again. Beat the 3 bosses, get currency, etc. However, things took a bit of a turn once I unlocked the Axe of Destiny. Firstly, I had to do a bit of an obby to climb up the cave. Then I had to go through a cave in an almost comedic fashion. Then it triggered a pretty cool mini-boss where we're inside a claw machine and are trying not to be catched, which I find pretty cool. And then it's time for the final, now original boss fight. It was pretty easy, all things considered. Kill a bunch of enemies, dodge attacks, etc. With the time they had, they did a good job, but it was just decent. But I mean, like, this is a Roblox event. In Roblox events, decent is good. Adopt Me actually started out with a really well thought out animation, which I love actually. Now for the actual quest. For the rune, you need to earn 4,000 candy, and for the key, you need to earn 3,000 candy 3 different times. Each minigame has a 10-minute timer to start, for a minimum of 4 minigames.
Well, I mean, you play each minigame for 5 minutes, so wouldn't that only be 5 minutes of waiting per minigame?
I mean, I suppose you're right. Still, that's like 40 minutes at minimum.
Listen, Star, I know you get really frustrated at waiting, but you need to have higher tolerance for this. You're just gonna break if you keep letting this affect you.
Well, I mean, you're right. Alright, fine, I'll get through this. So the first minigame is Costume Party, where— oh my god, this is literally just Dress to Impress, alright. The voting system is kinda different though. Instead of rating it a 1 out of 5, you only have 3 votes and need to vote the best ones. Still, it's just Dress to Impress. After a 7-minute wait time, I began the second game that I needed to do for the rune, the Hauntlet. Essentially, it's RNG. Okay, but they kinda spiced it up though. There are items you can randomly find, which is essentially just like, I don't know, an unreliable suggestion, and all the other ones are just, you know, preventing you from losing hearts. For a pick a door thing, I think this is good, but like still, it's RNG at its core. I did like the guy at the top that was like,
You should see your face!
After that, I got the rune, where after 20 minutes, I now needed to go ahead and play another minigame at least 3 times. 6 minutes later, it was time for Sleep or Treat, which is essentially trick-or-treating, except there are monsters chasing you which will take your candy. Any candy you collect, you need to bring back to the beginning. The people with the most candy earn the most actual candy once you leave. This was, like, pretty good. Then I did Costume Party again, and since I didn't have a good enough animal, I didn't have enough candy for the quest, which meant I needed to play another game. 7 more minutes later, I did the Hauntlet again. Then after even more waiting, I finally got to Sleep or Treat and got enough candy for the key. The sad thing is, I liked these minigames and would have given Adopt Me a much higher score if there just wasn't so much waiting. I would have easily given this a 5 or a higher if they ditched the timers and made it so that you didn't need to play as much. Like, maybe have it so that it's 1 minigame for the rune and all 3 for the key. And a dedicated matchmaking system so you don't have to wait 7 minutes every time. Oh god, it's Fisch. This game just sucks in events. The game's probably fine normally if you like grinding, but in events, this is misery. Hopefully this time it isn't as bad. So for the first quest, you need to go ahead and pick up pumpkins, then carve them. This takes like 30 seconds. Then you need to go ahead and find NPCs across 3 different islands. Fortunately, when I bought Robux one time, I got a super fast aquarium boat for Fisch. It was a part of like Roblox's new rewards program where if you spend $20 or more on Robux at a time, you just get a random game pass. In any case, the key tier has you catch 5 mutated fish that are spooky, eerie, or frightful. So I fished for quite a bit and no dice on any of them. I then realized that those mutations were exclusive. Now, according to my knowledge, there were 3 ways to get those mutations. Either grind out 2,000 candy and get an enchant rune from the Flying Dutchman, roll a 1 in 300 chance each from trick-or-treating houses. Keep in mind you can only do like 7 or 8 every 10 minutes. Or, the intended method, get the spooky rod. How do you get the spooky rod, you might ask? Well, you have to get 10 witches ingredients, 1 per goblin. How do you get goblins? Well, they spawn around the map every 5 minutes. And you need to do 10 of them. That's right, 50 minutes minimum. Did I mention how I really don't like Fisch in events? I'm only giving it a 1 because the map looks good. Besides that, this whole thing was just painful. Probably would have been one of the worst quests in the event if it weren't for Strongman Ultra. But I mean, hey, there are always bigger fish in the sea. Now, I knew that I'd had to wait quite a bit for a tower defense game. So I wake up at 4 AM on a school day, not canon by the way, I don't go to school, just so I could sneak in 1 extra game before going. To my knowledge, you had to restart the entire thing if you fail, so I essentially only had 1 good attempt. In short, have you ever played Garden Tower Defense with your life on the line? In terms of the base gameplay, it's just like every single other tower defense game except made to look like front page slop. It's formatted similarly to SpongeBob Tower Defense, in which you get new towers every area. After 20 waves, you actually have to get through a maze. You know, with John jump scare chasing you. After around 30 more waves, you go to the final area. After doing a short obby, of course. And then you find the secret of Garden Tower Defense. The monsters come from hell.
Whoa! Really? I've been keeping up with the lore for so long now, I didn't know they came from here!
Did this game even have lore prior to this event? Anyways, for this final segment, 2 waves do spawn, but you have towers with good enough range to the point in which you can get both. By the time I got to wave 89, they almost made it to the end. So for that last wave, I was super stressed out since I essentially had max units. Thankfully, I barely managed to do it. It wasn't the greatest tower defense game, but it was good enough, I'd say. Enough for me to give it an above average rating compared to the others. Now, I had high hopes for Tower Heroes over here, because the general feel and models in this game looked really cool. And it just so happened that they were also doing a collaboration with Doors. The rune quest was just normal tower defense stuff. You had heavy damage, range, a trapper, etc. There was some lag that prevented me from doing damage though. By the final wave, it got way too close for comfort for me. Like, he was literally at the goal by the time he died. The key quest, though, was an entirely different story. As I got put into this, where I had to unlock 4 paintings and keep restoring my sanity with spirits. This is essentially like a stealth 3D game. See, your sanity slowly decreases, and if you get spotted, it automatically goes down to 0%. When it runs out, you either find a wisp or just die. I'm not gonna go too into detail about how you get every painting because that would ruin the pacing of the video. But you essentially have to solve puzzles while also managing your sanity. Getting all the paintings triggers an actually really well put together 3D boss fight. Similar to the Snatcher boss in A Hat in Time. I didn't really have an issue, but it got super tense near the end due to the attacks ramping up. Your goal is to get 35 spirits in said boss fight in order to seal him away. This was overall a really great quest. The only bad thing I have to say about it is that it was a bit confusing at times, but besides that, the team here did a really good job. Amidst all these crap quests, you guys did great. Oh god, not World Zero again. Thankfully it's not Dungeon Heroes, but oh my goodness, this was hard in the Takeover. So for the rune, you need to go ahead and find 3 green pumpkins around the map. How fun. The actual key quest, though, is the Fallen King boss. Now, despite me having purchased the endgame pass back during the Takeover, I am dealing an insanely low amount of damage, even using the health regen skills that I got from that quest. I only got him down to 2/3 of his health before I was on my last life and I just decided to quit. On my next attempt, I tried playing the Archer. It had range damage, but despite that, I was doing even less than with the previous one I did. How cool.
Listen, Star, there's one class which is absolutely overpowered for this boss. It does cost a bit, but it's worth it. The Hunter class. It spawns a friend in which can deal damage for you.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. Okay, so how the familiar system works is that you spawn like a pet, and then you can constantly go ahead and regenerate health with it with an ability. This allows you to deal crazy damage without even attacking the boss directly. It was still pretty close with me being on my last life, but I beat it second try with this class, the first time me failing because I lagged out. This wasn't as bad, but the fact that I had to buy a 1.4 thousand Robux class to make it a lot easier makes me kinda question the difficulty of this. I don't exactly know how hard it is on the other classes, especially as a new game player. And that marks 40% completion of the event. Don't mind the top bar, I recorded this 2 days after the event started. Anyways, the second batch of items is based on these invisible paths. To get the secret item, all you have to do is follow a slightly smaller hidden path. For the other items, you have to go ahead and find totems around the map. These don't necessarily involve the invisible platforms, but like, it's just going around the place. The key item does involve the invisible platforms, though, as you need to pay attention to them when crossing or you'll die. It was a bit confusing with the last totem on the key though, I didn't notice an invisible path. I'm gonna wait a bit longer to give more detailed thoughts about the event that I have so far. So for now, let's keep going. I'll keep this brief. In Racket Rivals for the Rune Quest, you need to hit the ball into 25 rings, which spawn every 30 seconds. It's just as boring as it sounds. Guess what you need to do for the key quest? Win 4 times! Seriously, this can barely be considered a Halloween event. If you're gonna apply to be in the Halloween event, can you make something for Halloween that isn't just the map, please? PETAPETA, the horror escape game where you're locked in a school. Hey, isn't this just Baldi's Basics? For the Rune Quest, you need to collect 20 pumpkins around the map. And for the key quest, you need to, get this, beat the game. How original. In order to actually beat the game, you need to get through 3 levels. Essentially, hidden in lockers are keys. You need around 3 to 5 to unlock the main door. Level 1 is the base game, level 2 adds a mechanic where you need to break down doors and windows, and level 3 adds warp zones, which is required to get all of the keys. The gameplay is not good enough for me not to spare it from a 1 out of 10 for just having you complete the game and nothing else. Collecting the pumpkins are trivial. You're gonna get it done during the course of your key quest. So you can just get the key simply by playing the game normally, with nothing new added. Now, the last I played of Michael's Zombies was back during the games, and it was pretty good back then. So, what about their Halloween event? It's not as good. For the rune, all you have to do is go ahead and get 4,500 points in their zombie survival mode for Halloween. Then head on over to the basement, get a pack-a-punch weapon, and turn that in for your rune. As for the key, you need to open a safe, which can be opened by finding 5 codes in different maps. The difficulty of finding these codes can range from walking a tiny bit into finding an entirely different set of codes in order to open a door. However, I only got 3 out of the 5 codes and managed to brute force it. It wasn't the worst thing in the event, but it just wasn't really fun at all. It was just shooting zombies and just finding like 3 codes in generic fashion. If they make another event mode, how about you just complete that to a certain extent instead of this? Now, the Mimic has 2 different quests with 2 different themes in order to get the key. First part is the first step of the Halloween trials, where... segment, my team had to find keys all around the map which unlocked safes. Problem is, there's no indication where the keys or safes are. And every key lines up to 1 safe each. Oh yeah, not to mention that there's a super fast monster that will kill you outside the safe zone. Fortunately, you have infinite lives for this segment, however, if you die, you do lose any items you have. And considering how a later section... Thanks, past me. So yeah, actually completing this first segment this time was pretty difficult considering how the monster was just spawn camping the last key we needed. You can't outrun it either, so good luck getting what you need. The actual new part of this event though was the Nightmare Circus, which is essentially in 3 parts. Unlike the first quest though, you actually have limited lives for this one. The first thing you need to do is wind up 7 Jacko boxes, while also avoiding Mr. Scary Evil Kill You Clown. For part 2, you need to find 6 cards in order to enter in a code, also while being chased by Mr. Evil Kill You Ringmaster, who you can stun lock. The final part is a boss fight. Pretty easy attack patterns except for when, you know, the giant unpredictable laser shows up. But for the most part, this quest was really well modeled and voice acted. While this game wasn't really my cup of tea, I did find it to be pretty well made. Still though, I didn't find the gameplay too interesting. Of all the games in this event, this is probably the most popular one. Welcome to 99 Nights in the Forest.
Ooh, I love this one! Wish it had more studs, though. Be sure to look out for food. It's merged with your stamina. Also, don't forget to level up your fire to unlock more areas!
Of course you'd know a lot about this game. The rune and key quests are the same but with different amounts. You need to go trick-or-treating at 1 house for the rune and 5 for the key. Now in order to trick-or-treat, you actually need to light up houses with candles. You can do this by either getting rare drops from chests or by beating up cultists. They have like a pretty decent chance of dropping. They either spawn at night from an event, or they spawn in specific places. You'll know them when you see them. You also need to go ahead and multitask this with actually surviving. What the game doesn't tell you, though, is that you need to visit 5 unique houses. And the game doesn't tell you which ones you've already visited. Plus, you can only visit them at night. All of that resulted in me and my friends taking 45 minutes to do this. All for a quest where you essentially play the game but with one added feature. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't different enough from the actual game to warrant me giving it a high score. Then again, I doubt they had time to make a full miniature Halloween mode. Alright, dress to impress. Step 1, play 2 rounds with only Halloween clothing. You don't even need to win, you just wait 10 minutes. Based on the fact the next part is a story thing, I'm not going to count it too much against this game's overall score since this doesn't take up the majority of time I spent here. But this part just feels like they made it just so that they could have a rune quest. So this time it's an actual story, continuing from what we've seen so far. It's supposed to be in 5 parts, however only the first part is released, which we're playing now. Essentially, this is the Black Ravenous, Oh No Scary Evil. I speedran this with my friend who already did this, Matthew. So first we gotta investigate the backstage, where...
Oh my god, he's back! The king of Argos from ancient Greek mythology!
So he goes ahead and gives the Black Ravenous this necklace, which will apparently help her sing better. Take a wild guess at what it does. Next, we gotta find the Ravens. One of them you do by completing an obby. I don't know how you get the second one, and the third one you do by solving a puzzle. Lore time, apparently the Black Ravenous is the same person that I fought last year. Agamemnon ruined her life and creeped into it, causing her to become his henchman, or whatever. Wow, I almost feel bad for beating her in one attack cycle during the haunt. After that, you gotta find books around the library in order to open the final door. It's door 50. Lena is free and we get the key. Not as good as the other Dress to Impress event entries, but it's still on the upper end of this general event. Nice work, although try and focus more on the gameplay next time, please. Alright, that's 18 games down, 13 to go. This item set was basically a cave maze, which confused me a lot. I somehow found the secret item without even trying. The main gimmick was that the cave's walls, shifted or whatever. I just got the secret item by walking around a bit and finding a hidden door. Took me a bit to actually find the item. The key quest is more of the same, but with more use of the floating mechanic that was used in the normal quest, but not as much. In terms of this general event though, I still feel like quite a bit of games just entered in their game just to be in the event. The downside with doing spotlight events is that a lot of them are really grindy. Most people want to be in a Roblox event, but not all games are supposed to be in them. Sure, there have been some gems so far, like Doors and Tower Heroes, but for the most part, it's just felt dull. It hasn't been as bad to complete as the Takeover, but still. But I mean, hey, we still have 13 games to get through, so hopefully these last few will be pretty good. Please just don't be playing the game normally for most of the... Last time I played Banana Eats, it was for the haunt. There, I had to go ahead and find 13 pumpkins, each hidden across every map, 4 each. But it's been a year since then, so... Now, Driving Empire I didn't really have high hopes for. I thought it was just gonna be going back and forth to different fetch quest locations. And, well, I was kinda right. So you have to run over 300 zombies. 686 Robux for a car, huh? I'll take it. A bad purchase for now, but they're gonna be in future events. It was satisfying, but just insanely boring. It was just going back and forth. It wasn't that hard, honestly, which is why I'm giving it a 2 instead of a 1, because it was just kinda fine. Nothing too offensive about it. Restaurant Tycoon 3, the sequel to the one game I really did not like playing events for. I needed to collect 5 daily challenges out of 6 in order to get the key. The first thing I did was get a high enough score on this match 3 kind of game. Then I had to trick-or-treat 5 people, which I did by just walking up to their houses. Farming carrots wasn't an option because there was no way I'm gonna wait an hour and 30 minutes for that. Then I had to go ahead and place dead trees, which cost a lot of money.
Well, you can buy currency!
Well, considering how the other quests look, I'm probably gonna have to.
Good choice! You wouldn't want to play the game for a long time, would you?
Well, no, I don't. Thank you for not, like, scamming me, though. Your purchases have been kinda useful. I then had to do stuff like find Halloween ghosts, and then physically make Halloween dishes. No, you can't have staff do it. I had to do 15, and it was kinda tedious. It wasn't, like, horrible, but it wasn't absolutely terrible either. Still bad, though. And now it's time for the obligatory football game that always has to be in every Roblox event. Step 1, block 10 people. Doesn't matter if they have the ball, just block the opponents 10 times. Run up to them and press a key. Then you gotta play this toss-up mode where you gotta run to the target and catch a ball 15 times. I am genuinely concerned why this is considered a Halloween event. Moreover, how these games are being chosen so many times in the first place. Alright, Voldex game number 3, let's do this! So first of all, you need to grind out 500 tickets. The main way to do this is, you guessed it, trick-or-treating by walking up to people's houses. There are other ways, but I'm not gonna go into detail. Then you go ahead and find Sabrina and start a quest. Go into the barn to find a potion book. Go to the high school library for a book. Make specific potions using items. Walk to the lighthouse in this very specific location so you can get an item. Find the keys to the mansion. Walk through this like giant haunted house maze, which is like kinda decent because it constantly switches themes. And you get the key. I'm giving it a 3 because the maze was kinda cool. I guess? Look, the standards for this event aren't really that high. Happy is a horror escape game where you need to find candy corn around the map, also the items you need to scan because you actually need to win a match in order to keep the candy you get. So you basically just need to win 5 matches. Playing the game normally. No added changes besides 1 extra item which you can only get 10 of per match. There was a form that you needed to sign in order to have your game even qualify for the event. And to do that, you need to have a Halloween update. So if you're gonna apply your Halloween update to a Roblox event, don't make it have you do the same thing over and over again while playing the game normally. Otherwise, you just make a really boring quest. If it hasn't become obvious already, I'm tired. Not as emotionally devastated as I was in the Takeover, just tired. Spotlight events are meant to showcase the good things in the Roblox community that are made for Halloween. And if half of them are this grindy, then is that really accomplished? The 4th path for the items starts off with this like really simple find the symbol then jump on the platform thing. You gotta find like a secret cave. Then go to the next part where you have to memorize symbols and follow the path, except on the last one, you go down the path labeled by the secret symbol in order to get the secret item. The key quest is a mixture of both, where you gotta go ahead and jump on the specific platforms while going down the specific paths. I just want to get out of here. There are 7 games left. There would have been 8 if Five Nights TD2 didn't drop out due to the amount of bugs their launch had. I've decided to save a few specific games for the end though, which could hopefully bring my opinion of this event up. But we're just gonna have to see since I saved them for the end for some reason. Now, it's time for... So Jeff is a game where you have to like kill giant floating realistic heads and you have to get teeth in order to get the rune. Essentially, you have to kill 25 of these things. Only problem is you take a ton of damage because melee doesn't really work when they bite your head off. Wait a minute, I can buy a rocket launcher? At night, the spawn rates drastically increase, so if you have a rocket launcher, you can essentially one-shot multiple at once, which makes this pretty easy. The key quest starts with you having to walk. A lot. You need to go in all 4 directions in order to find, like, these tablets or whatever. You have a map, but it takes quite a bit of time. Once you do that, you gotta walk over to the altar, where once you input all 4 stones, you get teleported to the Nightmare Super Hell dimension, where the giant unkillable face chases you. It's essentially a maze, except you don't really know where the paths end until you go right up to it. Plus, you can barely cut corners with the face. But I got it done in a decent amount of time. All in all though, this just felt like a long amount of walking. And the start was just killing things. The entire gameplay for both of these felt kinda repetitive. Weird gun games sucked. A lot. So for the key quest, you need to kill 35 zombies, except when you die, you get placed in jail until either someone rescues you or you pay Robux. Zombies can be small, normal, or brutes. It's really hard to find a good gun combination because you can get easily overwhelmed. If you get a slow weapon with high damage, you can deal with the brutes, except the mini zombies will tear through you. And if you have a low damage weapon that shoots fast, then you can't deal with the brutes. The final thing you need to do for the key quest is to survive 20 waves. Not get to wave 20, survive 20. There's one tiny issue though. When a wave is completed, it counts for the entire server, no matter if the person is dead or not. So you can quite literally do absolutely nothing in the menu and get this key. I have no idea how an oversight this huge was not seen by the developers. You don't have to survive the waves. In fact, you don't even need to win the wave. It counted when it said defeat. This key quest was just embarrassing. And the rune quest wasn't good enough to bring up the score either. So in general, this just sucks. The rune and key quests for Blair are both one big thing, so I'll just go ahead and start talking about the campaign. Now, I'm not really a fan of this style of game, so I'll just try and keep this brief. You start by going around the map and finding 4 codes. I didn't really want to wander too much, so I let my teammates do it for me. After that, you go into the chapel, enter the code, walk into the portal, let this really high quality video play, and then you get the rune. Then it's time for the key quest. In your van, you get a crystal, you gotta find the place to put the crystal in the map, watch as the ghost chases you for a minute or two, and then go back to the van and repeat. Now, I'm not gonna risk dying, so I'm just gonna stay in the cameras and watch my friends do it as I get footage.
Look, Star, you can't just do this. I know you're tired and we all want this event to be over, but you gotta go in there and face the ghost. If you don't, then wouldn't that just be waiting instead of playing the event?
I suppose you're right. Okay, I'll go in there. Surprisingly enough, the ghost chasing thing isn't actually too tense, it just glitches out your camera for a bit if she gets too close. Plus, it just wasn't really that scary. Go into the chapel, insert the key. Oh no! It looks like we've started the roaring! Aw shucks, how do we get out of this one? Well, we don't, because the quest ends there, and I do not give a damn. While there was a lot of walking, the presentation was pretty good considering it had full voice acting. I don't know, this game just wasn't my cup of tea though. I'm just not a fan of the genre. Oh great, it's Dead Rails, my favorite game. For the rune quest, you have to go ahead and find 2 secret pumpkins, which can be found in houses and miniature towns. Somehow, our luck was so horrible we spent 20 minutes doing this, setting up everything we needed for an actual game, all while we only needed 2 pumpkins. As for the key quest, you had to beat the Halloween mode, which is exactly the same as the base game, except it also has an extra final boss at the end and has more enemies. Can Dead Rails just stop being an event if they literally can't do anything but just the normal game? Like, please, it's not that hard. Make it kinda more engaging. Guts and Blackpowder's rune quest was just really confusing, because the story has essentially checkpoints in which everyone respawns at, including spectators. So for the rune quest, you can just join at the final checkpoint and still get the badge. Doesn't count if you die at the final checkpoint though. So, barely, we managed to beat the vampire quest by chasing Dracula throughout his mansion and putting a stake into his heart. Yikes, that's gotta hurt! The key quest, however, was an entirely different story. You see, in order to get to the key, you have to go ahead and complete the road to the Sleepy Hollow and the Sleepy Hollow back to back in one life. So you have to find a server where the road to Sleepy Hollow is just being started and then join it. Except it restarts at the Sleepy Hollow if you die at the Sleepy Hollow, meaning that if your party is stuck at this one specific map, you have to server hop until you find another server right when the road to Sleepy Hollow starts. Except if you join right as it's being completed, you also have to server hop. You just have to pray that the people in your server either just beat the Sleepy Hollow or failed doing the road to Sleepy Hollow. The road to Sleepy Hollow was just you going through a cornfield, going through a house using a cannon, then rushing over to a port where you build a bridge and take a boat. The actual Sleepy Hollow is just a giant boss fight against the Headless Horseman. Wait, didn't I kill that guy? It doesn't matter. The point is, this is a brutal boss, and with you having weapons representing colonial America, This wasn't a very easy thing to do. In fact, it took me over an hour. I was so relieved when I finally got the badge. I would have given this a much higher score if it wasn't so agonizing to even attempt this. Besides that, it was a pretty good quest. It's just a shame they had to ruin it with this. Armless Detective is actually really well made, as they actually made a full Halloween map for this one. Now, the main gimmick of the game is that you have different hat gadgets you can use, cause, well, you know. The Rune Quest is multiplayer, and essentially just has you do the base thing of solving the crime. You do this by scouring the entire map for clues. If the shed is empty, if there are no bones in any graves, if there's candy on the ground, if there are vengeful spirits, if the diamond is fake, all of those are clues to help you find out who the killer is, and it automatically deducts it for you if you input evidence into your notebook. It was honestly pretty fun to figure out since a friend already knew what to do. You'll want to be sure you're correct too, because if you fail you gotta restart. Now, the key quest starts out with you doing the same thing but solo, but once you figure out the culprit, something strange happens. Because you're now apparently on a skateboard and have to trick-or-treat at different houses. It's moderately easy to control, just like a bit tricky. There's no time limit until the giant angel of death that's ripping apart the world shows up. You now have to manage trick-or-treating, being chased, and platforming, because if you fail to platform, that also counts as being caught by the monster, also known as death. You get a checkpoint right before the angel shows up, but goodness, this was tense. Like, this is the most adrenaline I've felt this entire event. The only thing I'd take off points for is making you do another investigation, but besides that, this is really good. I genuinely hope they're in the next event, because this was quite fun to play. But now, it's time for the final game. Untitled Tag Game's raw presentation surprised me a ton. This is the coolest villain I've ever seen in a Roblox game. Like, look at the effects they did here. So this guy essentially just wants to take, like, the color energy of the world, and I cannot get over the animation here, oh my goodness. We then proceed to crash land in Retro World over here. We then go to Garfield's lab, where we meet the same scientist that helped us out during the Hunt Mega Edition. I didn't realize this at first, though. After getting a hang of the controls in like a practice stadium, John Darkness comes in and says, "I'm going to kill everyone." Jump cut, remember the stealth sections from the Hunt Mega Edition? Well, they're back. This time, though, you can do a takedown. There weren't any puzzles this time, I just kinda struggled on this a bit. Once you get past the stealth section, you gotta climb the giant parkour tower. It's simple enough, but I was a bit worried I was gonna fall at one point. After that, we make it to the rune conduit and get our rune. After that, the tutorial's over. Welcome to the key quest, climb the tower. Some parts of the parkour were kinda confusing, but with the added sprint mechanic, it made things a lot more interesting. Essentially, if you press shift while jumping, you do a dash. There was also this rope section I was stuck on for a bit, but that's fine. There are checkpoints practically everywhere, so punishment is basically nothing. The final thing you need to do is the stealth section again. It was actually pretty hard. You have to descend the layers of the facility in order to reach the key. You gotta be really patient too, as you have very few openings to get past the guards. After that, you get to the key and... Huh? It just ends? There's nothing left? It's not bugged. I've seen other videos, so, I guess that's how it ends. It's still the best quest in the event, don't get me wrong, tied with Tower Heroes. Everything was really cool. The developers did amazing, it's just that kind of felt a bit anticlimactic. And with that, I win! Well, not quite yet. We still have one set of puzzles we gotta deal with in the hub. The first part of the main final puzzle has you memorize symbols that show up, and you having to walk on a path similar to what you've seen. Essentially the last quest, but harder. After that, you gotta get through an invisible maze. The next part has you get through this giant cave in order to get to your item. There's no punishment for falling though, so I guess a lot of it is just trial and error. If you forgot all the symbols, that is. As for the secret item, you gotta go around in the invisible maze in order to follow a hidden path. Once you do, you unlock a new set of symbols. Follow that set of symbols in the final cave and you'll get your secret item. Now, as for the final key quest, it's... oh. Welcome to the final boss of the Halloween Spotlight, where you have to use your knowledge from all prior puzzles in order to unlock the door. Part 1. Collect 4 totems in an invisible maze. It shouldn't be too hard, but occasionally the giant evil eyes monster will come after you, so you'll kinda have to watch out for that. Once you get all the totems, you have to look for parts of the code based on the first puzzle, while also taking into account the symbol memorization from the puzzle we just did. Enter in the code and the totems, and finally, you get your final item in the Halloween Spotlight. Okay, now we're done. God damn it. Alright, let's see what's down here. Okay, long foreboding path with red lanterns, that's always a good sign.
You complete fool! You absolute idiot! Did you really think I would let you leave?
Okay, who are you again?
Well, I'm the evil spirit that's been haunting this forest. Remember? When you were doing the puzzles?
Oh yeah! So what do you want?
You know, to kill you.
Wow, how original.
I mean, it's either that or having your soul trapped in the forest for eternity, you choose.
How about you let me get the final reward and go home? I mean, after what you put me through, I think I deserve it.
Dude, I am literally an evil forest demon. Do not test my patience.
Oh, I'm the one who's having my patience tested. For one, you added games like Strongman Ultra, which were so—
I've had it with your you little I'm gonna rip your body.
And now that I've gotten the horns, the Halloween Spotlight is over, and I win! I'm gonna go back to the forest so I can regroup. This event was painfully mid. There were highs, but there were a lot of lows. It wasn't torture to complete, but it just felt boring. A lot of the games that participated only went in the event for the sake of being in the event. And what do I get for completing it? A crown? I mean, that's cool, I guess. I was in the top 250. But there were only like 4 or 5 games that were actually good. And while yeah, I get that this was supposed to be a mini event, not an actual big thing, you shouldn't participate in the event if it's gonna be grindy. If you participate in the event, you should actually have something fun for the players to play. Otherwise, you just have an overall frustrating experience. This is my tier list, but keep in mind I'm saying this from a completionist perspective, counting the Haunt as a spotlight event, which it really wasn't, but whatever. While the Halloween Spotlight wasn't a chore to complete like the Takeover, it had a lot more bad quests. At least with the games and the Winter Spotlight, a lot of those were decent. The Halloween Spotlight is just naturally grindy. Besides that, I don't think I have anything else to say about this event. Oh, right, the hub. Apparently, the gang is now the creative director behind events. The same people who made Strongman Ultra, the game I ranked a 0. But that was because it's pay to win. In terms of what they made here, it was fine. Like, yeah, it's a forest, so a lot of it's gonna be trees. But in terms of content for this hub, they did a pretty good job for a spotlight event. Not as detailed as Twin Atlas, but they need more time to shine. This event really didn't take too long to make. But will events be better overall with this change? We'll just have to wait till next time. Which will hopefully be in late December. But until then, it's time to head home. Goodbye, Halloween Spotlight. I'm not really gonna miss you. And that's another event down. Thankfully, I didn't go too insane this time. Regardless, though, Fiddy, you've been acting nicer.
Yeah, as much as I want to be a salesman and make as much money as possible, I've kind of felt bad about ripping you off. I hope that my current and future actions will make up for it.
I hope so too. After all, you are a fully fledged member of Nova City. Anyways, how do we get home?
Well, I know how I am. See y'all soon.
Don't worry, I have my salesman technology. I'll meet you all back at the house.
So, now what? Wait a minute, I can teleport you and me.
Oh right, I almost forgot. Well, I guess it's time to head home.
You know, it feels like a lot's been happening recently. What do you think's gonna happen next?
Well, only one way to find out. As for the viewers, thank you all for watching my review. I'll see y'all next time!